Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about the week in Dynasty once again. I am Russell Clay. I'm a staff writer over at fantasyguru.com. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for checking out Dynasty Watch for this week. So today we're going to be going over the Dynasty ratings update and why I made these updates. So pretty simple, sound pretty straightforward. So before we do get into that, please like the video, also subscribe to the channel. And if you're already over at fantasyguru.com watching this, then shout out to you. So let's get into the week. Not too many big movements other than Trey Lance. Wherever I put that, I moved him down to a 74. Because of the major injury. So that will be updated before we get out of here. But yeah, so Trey Lance out for the year. Brutal move. You know, I don't love that what that's going to do for his long-term potential. There were already some questions going into week 2, and now that he has a major injury, I do think he's going to get another chance to start, and he obviously has that athleticism to dominate. You know, maybe he can learn a lot this year with another year behind Trey Lance. Some of the best quarterbacks of the last couple decades have had multiple years of waiting. So, you know, it is the worst case scenario for this year. Still do think there's some upside long term. It just sucks for him and his dynasty owners not to get any points this year. Joe Burrow, I'm worried about this offensive line. He's taken a lot of sacks in those first 2 weeks. And, you know, long term, I love Joe Burrow with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. But I do think we have to think about what it's going to look like if he keeps taking so many sacks. Jalen Hurts, you know, he's got my respect, and more importantly, he has an immense supporting cast. So I think that's what we have to value there in that situation. Jalen Hurts, excellent supporting cast that should be able to boost his passing upside, and we already know what he can do on the ground. Tua. You know, I've always been maybe a little higher than consensus on Tua, but was not sort of sold for the long term. And as kind of like Jalen Hurts, as we kind of go along here and look at the supporting cast he has now, the great coaching now, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I mean, that's enough to boost Tua into being a multi-year starter from here on out. Those that invested this summer are looking at a nice value here. It looks like he's going to put together a top 12 fantasy season for those folks, and you got him at a great discount. So at least the next couple of years, Tua is going to be a nice piece. And I think, you know, as he puts together more solid fantasy weeks, we're going to boost his long-term potential. Let's see. Oops. That's actually +5 on Carson Wentz. +5. He moved up from 67. So he's obviously playing well enough with this supporting cast to make me think he's going to start the full year. So I moved Desmond Ridder up, not because Marcus Mariota's playing bad, but because the Falcons are now 0-2. If they string together a few more losses, we could see Ridder out there sooner than later. Similar thoughts with Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill. If the Titans continue to lose, which I think they're going to, you know, at least be mediocre this year. But if they continue to lose, the odds of these rookie quarterbacks getting reps grow. So that's just historical perspective, and I think that's worth pursuing. Travis Etienne, I moved him down 1 point. I actually like what I've seen from him so far this year, especially in the receiving role. He's looked very explosive. James Robinson is the starter right now. No denying that. I just think long-term Etienne is going to turn into that 12 to 15 touch per week role. And I think in this offense, which is looking better by the week, I think he can, you know, become that Alvin Kamara type player. So he doesn't need volume to have huge fantasy potential, but he does need to have touchdowns and he does need to have some big plays. So he's got the big plays so far. He just doesn't have that red zone touchdown, even though he has been getting those snaps. Any other big ones? Miles Sanders looks great. Looks like he's gonna get that 250 to 270 touches this year. For where you got him this offseason, that's a great value. Zeke, I'm worried. Penny, I'm worried. Their offenses are going to be bad. I'm worried about that. As mentioned, James Robinson, great value this offseason if you got him. And hey, I'm a ETN guy, so I'm always going to be biased against James Robinson, but he looks great. And if you got him this offseason, you got a great deal. So shout out there. Darrell Henderson, I do think he's kind of locked in the starter role. Jeff Wilson, big week for him. He looked great. Didn't score that touchdown, but did have over 100 total yards. Is the clear starter, and Tyrion Davis-Price did get hurt. So Jeff Wilson has this backfield to himself right now. Bumped Keeney, maybe an Alex Madison trade. We'll see. Let's see. Moved up Hill and Waddle just because of the situation. Bumped up Diggs because I just probably wasn't high enough on him. I bumped him down this summer because of the age, and it looks like he's going to have a high-end wide receiver 1 year, so we got to respect that. Drake London, Garrett Wilson look like the number one guys in their offenses. We got to value that. Garrett Wilson's going to start to get wide receiver 1 coverage rolling his way soon. So we'll see what that looks like, but he looks absolutely incredible through a couple weeks here. Christian Kirk, bump him up. Maybe even needs to bump up higher than that. Combined with Trevor Lawrence for his rookie deal, that's great for Kirk. I threw out a tweet this week. Kirk's over-under for receiving yards this year was 800. He's already got 25% of that through 2 games. So he's going to be just fine in Jacksonville. Bump up Amon-Ra St. Brown. He looks like an absolute stud. He can play all over the formation. He even had some rushing attempts in week 2. Looks phenomenal. Curtis Samuel, one of the winners of the early season in terms of values. He's at 1,000 total yards in a season before. He has talent. We all know that. He's still relatively young at 26. It's just he can't stay healthy. So the fact that he's stringing together some games here is great, and we'll bump him purely due to the talent. And then my boy Patty F, he's always going to be a weapon. Certainly not going to score a touchdown every week, but he's staying healthy. He's looking good out there, and he's one of the reliable options for, Mitch Trubisky, but also if Kenny Pickett gets in there, he's going to be reliable for him as well. So love to see that. George Kittle, man, it's just frustrating how every year there's injuries. He does play a blocking tight end role, so those guys do get hurt a lot from, all those blocking assignments and catching the ball. Lots of responsibility there. But he's still George Kittle. So when he does get healthy, you'll get a nice player, but we do got to bump him down. Evan Ingram looks great. They're running plays for him. Third down dump off option. He looks fantastic in that role. This is the type of role he should have been in coming out of Ole Miss. That's what he profiled as, and they're optimizing him in this offense. And it's funny how you go from Daniel Jones to year 2 Trevor Lawrence, and all of a sudden the drops are not as much of an issue anymore. So Evan Ingram, looking good. David Njoku, I bumped up Harrison Bryant for a reason. Njoku gets that huge contract, and they have him blocking. It's frustrating. I'd imagine he'll run more routes when Deshaun Watson's back, but as long as Jacoby Brissett's there, Njoku, is probably going to be limited with his receiving role. And then, hey, Irv Smith's healthy. You'll love to see that. He looks great. Did have that big drop down the sideline, but the point is he did get that target, and he did have a big day anyway. He did score a touchdown and have 4 or 5 receptions, I think, in that game. So like to see Irv Smith sort of getting involved in that offense after, that injury in 2021. So there you go, everyone. That's what we're looking at here in terms of these ratings and why they have been updated. I thank you for tuning in. And as I mentioned, please like the video and subscribe. Check out the Discord here over at Fantasy Guru. It's a lot of fun. People always talking Dynasty trades, player values, etc., etc. So I thank you guys for tuning in. As always, thank you, and I'll see you next time.